Good afternoon and welcome to Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai Anyekan, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the major stories. Federal government says inauguration of Gabon coup leader as interim president unacceptable. NLC begins two-day warning strike over effects of subsidy removal. Plus, North Korea leader Kim Jong to visit Putin for weapons talks over Ukraine war. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Scene where the federal government of Nigeria has faulted the inauguration of Gabonese General Brice Oligui Nguema as the country's interim president. In a statement, the spokesperson for Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Francisca Omali, demanded an immediate return to democracy in Gabon. Omayuli said the inauguration of Nguema, with no indication of a transition program in place, only serves to fan the embers of growing discontent among the political class in the country. Recall that Nguema had on August 30, 2023, led a coup, ending the 55-year rule by the Bongo dynasty. Meanwhile, the federal government has unveiled plans to include families of wounded and fallen soldiers in the National Social Register and its poverty alleviation programs. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, made this known during a meeting with the Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa in Abuja. Edu expressed the need to support families of deceased soldiers and also solicit the support of the Nigerian military to prevent humanitarian crises across the country. In his response, General Musa assured the Minister of the Nigerian military's commitment to support her toward achieving the mandate of the ministry. In the meantime, the federal government has said it will be engaging terminal operators for the rehabilitation of the $800 million port of Apapa, Tinkan and others. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, said this when he was led on a familiarization visit to Apapa and Tinkan Island ports by the Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, Mohammed Bello Koko, and his management team. Recall that Bello Koko in April explained that the agency might be spending up to $800 million for the reconstruction of some of the country's seaports. However, reacting to a statement, Oyetola said the port was almost collapsing, adding that the reconstruction would commence soon. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning has said that the 2024 budget will be submitted to the House of Assembly before the end of October. The Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akaboise, said this in Lagos during the training of ministries, departments and agencies personnel who will be involved in the 2024 budget preparation based on the government's integrated financial management information system budget preparation SEP system. Akaboise, who was represented by the Director of Revenue and Fiscal Policy at the Budget Office of the Federation, Hapsatu Momoni, disclosed that the Budget Office was working to ensure that the 2024 budget was submitted to the National Assembly before the end of October. The Director General said the training of the MDA's personnel had been very effective, adding that the country had been able to return to the January to December budget cycle in the last 5 years. From the Green Chambers now, where the ad hoc committee constituted by the House of Representatives to investigate the activities of the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority since its inception, has held the management of the NSIA over its interventions in the healthcare sector. The members of the committee commended the NSIA during an oversight visit at the NSIA Youth Cancer Center in Lagos. The chairman of the committee, Ademori Koye, while inspecting the facility, said the lawmakers were impressed with the quality of service being rendered to Nigerians at the cancer center. Reports say the NSIA Healthcare was established to catalyze private sector investment to address the infrastructure gaps in the healthcare sector, improve manpower, and forge strategic collaborations to advance healthcare indicators in the country. Away from that, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has said that the way Nigeria's budgetary allocation is designed is not encouraging contractors to complete federal road projects across the country timely. He also said contractors will not be stopped from making use of asphalt in the construction of roads, but they may sign an indemnity agreement of 30 years duration of the roads with the ministry. The minister said that construction of concrete roads will not be enforced on projects awarded already, noting that the contractors would need to give assurance that roads built with asphalt would last up to 30 years, even though the concrete roads would last longer. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja, Umahi said the release of the fund to contractors on an annual basis make road projects linger, as in most cases, the contractor accessed little funds to purchase the necessary material to carry out their job, adding that the delay further gives rise to contract variation as inflation affects the original amount agreed for the project. On labour matters, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has embarked on a 2-day warning strike in protest against the federal government's failure to address the challenges caused by the removal of fuel subsidies. This comes days after the declaration by the NLC President Joe Ajaero last Friday. The Labour Union is reportedly accusing the federal government of abandoning the negotiations and failing to implement some of the resolutions from previous meetings with the government. Recall that on August 2nd, the organized labour protested what it described as the anti-people policies of the administration of President Bola Tinubu in the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) and several states across the country. We move now to Africa, where Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen is set to visit Eswatini as she seeks to reinforce ties with the country's only ally in Africa. Reports say she will be in the country from today, Thursday, to Thursday for the 55th anniversary of Eswatini's independence, and will also mark the two countries' 55 years of bilateral relations. During the visit, she will be meeting the country's monarch, King Maswati III, and visit a local hospital and Taiwan-sponsored projects before returning home on Friday. The Taiwanese president said her visit is to celebrate friendship between the two countries and promote sustainable cooperation. Still in Africa, Niger's new Prime Minister Ali Zien says there are hopes of reaching an agreement with West Africa's region